Welcome back, everybody. I'm Jamie if you're new here, and I thought I'd give you a few different things today in our little bit shorter video for the week. And today I'm just going to be going over a couple of things, a garden update, a couple of things that we're going to be replanting together, and I've spoken about how I do a lot of my own teas and tinctures and, home cures, that kind of thing. So this is where it happens, and this is my Apothecary cabinet. And this cabinet is an old thrift store find. I've had it about 2 decades. It's been a while. It did not come with shelves when I actually got it, and I think I bought this for about $20. But here is the interior and my working space, this kind of thing. A lot of my herbs and things are down below. So let's get to the beginning of this. This top shelf is mostly, the lights are, hang on. Is that better? Actually, I think that might be better. And this shelf is things that I've already made. Like I make my own hair oil for conditioning and hair growth. I have some essential oils that I keep here that I use pretty regularly. And I've got just some basic things that are kind of small and I use quite a bit of. In the back there, I actually have already made tinctures that I use. Things for sick, colds, when you've got a headache, allergy issues, that kind of thing. And over here, I've got my mortar and pestle. And then back there, I just have some decorative jars that I haven't found really a specific use for yet. The mortar and pestle is soapstone, and I've had that also close to 2 decade and a half. It's been around for a while. I'll go ahead and turn the light back on. It shouldn't be too bad. And this is kind of my working space where I make notes. Over here, I've got glycerin and my castor oils and things. I use a lot of that in my hair oil recipe. And some cotton balls. I've got some homemade liniment back here that I make for aches and pains. And then just a nice writing area. And these are some of the books that I refer to quite a bit. This one right here, I'm using right now to create a line of bath salts for my family. Myself and another family member are very big on soaking in baths to relieve stress and aches and pains and that kind of thing. And I found Rosemary Gladstar's works that she has done, and she's an incredible herbalist, very renowned, very respected, and I have just fallen in love with many of her recipes. So I've been kind of consulting that and learning from that a great deal. And right now I'm working on cinnamon bath salts, which I thought were really interesting. And back here is just a notebook that I put my recipes in. I have several books, as you can see back here, several journals, I guess for want of a better term, that I make my notes in and create my final recipes. And then down here, this was originally, I think, a computer desk, because this actually pulls out. And this is just for, odds and ends. This is a cookie sheet that I use to fill all of my bottles and jars with, and it just collects the mess a lot better. So I just keep that handy for when I'm doing messy work. And then down here, like I said, originally this did not come with shelves, although it was designed to have shelves. And so we just got some 1/2-inch plywood, and I originally was going to stain it to match the cabinet, and then realized because there's no light down here, the light colored plywood actually stands out better, and I can kind of see what I've got. And so as you can see, I've got quite a bit. I've got yarrow tea that I've made up, calendula flowers, peppermint leaf, activated charcoal. I've got lavender, catnip. I've got feverfew, nettle, arnica. I've got my beeswax, fenugreek, violets, golden seal root. I've got some fermented honey down here that I've done. And I've got some of my other bases. Just a little bit of odds and ends like neem oil. And then down here on the corner here is where I keep a lot of my tincture bottles that haven't been used yet and salve jars. And so, as you can see, it's a lot of these are 3 and 4 deep going back. So what you see up front, there's quite a bit more product behind. And I use this a great deal. I'm in here several times a week, creating different recipes and things for different things for my family and for myself, for friends. If they ask for something, you know, I'll make it up for them. In the future, I'll be sharing some of the things that I make, like salves or soaps, bath salts, that kind of thing. And I'm looking forward to that. I think it'll be a lot of fun to share with you all. But I do not currently make these for sale. I just make them for friends and family. So that's the Apothecary. And I'm going to be moving on now to a few things that I think are kind of fun. We have gotten a lot of the garden planted out, so let's go take a look at that. I did want to give you a quick update on the ranunculus. I actually was worried that maybe they weren't going to germinate, but do you see it? It's so cool. I actually did check them a couple of days back, and they were sprouting, so I reburied them, and then this guy showed up yesterday. So there is life with the ranunculus. I'm pretty stoked about that. Okay, so we are back at the seed starts and some nice updates here. As you can see, this one has been mostly planted out. My rosemary is coming on strong. Once we got all the big plants out of the way and the poor thing could actually get some light, it has finally started to come around. So I'm very, very happy about that. And it looks like, what is that? Okay. Which one is this? Okay, now I gotta pull the stake out. Oh, I actually got some habaneros. So those actually germinated. That's really cool. And back here is my sage. And yeah, it looks as sad as you think it does. Yes, it does. However, it is going to be replanted. I see that one little guy trying to do his thing. I'm very happy for it. But I'm going to be replanting it. I'm also going to be replanting the feverfew because I'm not so sure what's happening here. I have some very long grassy things, and you can actually see, you know, I've mentioned this before that it's in there, but I think I'm just going to replant it and see if it, you know, doesn't happen again. The salad mix is ready to go in the ground. I've got some parsley here. I have some parsley out in the in-ground garden that was actually a volunteer parsley from last year. We did, let's see if I can go over the lights here. The bunching onions are coming up really good. The snapdragons are coming up really good. We finally got the strawberries to germinate, so I'm super, super excited about that. And this guy is stinging nettle right back here. Sorry, that light is just going to be a pain in the butt. I did get my nasturtium to germinate. I was wondering if it was going to or not, but it did. I'm very, very happy about that. I still have a few guys here, the chives and the asters. The rose ones haven't germinated yet, so we'll see what kind of happens there. And these are, let's see, this is milk thistle. Nothing yet. Strawberries, and I need to water still. I have not watered today. Okay, and this is also the other nasturtium, but considering the other one just germinated overnight, I'm sure that one's not far behind. These other guys, the echinacea has popped up finally. The other asters are doing really, really well. All of the other plants are big enough now that I can actually transplant them either into the pots or into the ground, depending on where they're going. So everybody seems to be doing pretty well. And over here, we're doing excellent. The borage back there has taken off. All of the salad mixes are good. It looks like I've got some peppers here that are ready to go. And I have a new idea for carrots and onions, and I'm going to show you here in a minute. Okay, so now you've seen some of the first things that we planted, i.e. all of the beans and the squash and pumpkins. And over here, I was able to, see if I can get situated here. I'm not in my gardening boots. I'm kind of struggling. I've gotten all of our peppers planted. And over here, I have some more peppers. And then we got into the San Marzano tomatoes that I've got those all planted out, and they seem to be doing pretty well. Now I'm a little concerned because we do have a pretty wicked storm coming tonight, and they're calling for like tornadoes and things. Now I don't think that we're going to get it that badly because we're pretty far north, so keep our fingers crossed. Let's see, so the pole beans over here are doing good. They died off over here, but it looks like maybe, just maybe, I've got, yep, I do, I see them. The seeds we planted together, they're coming up. They're coming up. I'm so excited. Cool. Yep, there's another one right over here too. I don't know. Yep. Oh, the poles are in the way and they don't want to give it up. Yep. Oh, and there's some more back there too. So all the seeds that we planted over here are coming up. I wonder over here if we've got some that actually are starting to come up or not. I don't know, but this plant is actually doing really well. I'm so sorry, the poles are making it not focus. I apologize. But over here, we got beans coming up, and that's good. So over here, I actually have broccoli going. And I've got over here, I believe, yeah, these are all the pickling cucumbers. And then we got over here, I planted Savoy cabbage. And then, of course, there's zucchinis and our flowers over here. And our volunteer stuff seems to actually be doing really well. I've got little salads popping up all over. The parsley's coming along really, really well. And then there's some more flowers right there. But this is where we've gotten so far. And what I mentioned about the carrots and the onions, I kind of meditated / prayed / thought about this for a little while about, you know, lack of real estate in my garden, but wanting to plant things that we use a lot, like carrots and onions. And it finally came to me, I guess through spirit, that these beds are very wide, and even though these plants will get quite large, right beside them on either side is perfect for things like carrots and onions. And it makes perfect sense. And it will also inhibit weed push. So I'm going to go through these 2 rows, and then these, as we get these planted out with carrots and onions alongside whatever else is being there. And the other thing I was going to talk about briefly is that obviously you can see that this has been tilled back here and this wasn't. And the reason for that is because, one, I have existing plants that have come up. But the other thing too is that this was very new soil and it was amended pretty heavily last year. And I'm going to try an experiment. Instead of trying to wrestle a tiller in between well-established plants and run the risk of damaging them, I'm going to put my amendments on top, work them in where I'm planting, and not worry about it. And let's just see which side fares better, or which side has the least amount of weeds, or yeah. So till, no till. We'll see what happens. So that's about it for the garden updates. The in-ground garden is still pretty much the same. Everything though is getting quite large. The mullein plant, the sweet William, these guys over here are getting quite large too. I know typically you would call it a weed, but most weeds are just plants we're not familiar with using. And I've got one on each side, and I have decided to leave them. And I'm going to get them identified. And they're very healthy, and they're not actually hurting anybody. And look at what I've got. My very first rosebud of the season. Oh, that is so beautiful. Oh, I planted these roses for my mother when she passed away. Yellow roses were always her favorite. And this would make her very, very happy. So this is pretty much, I think, the state of the garden. We do have some dandelions growing quite happily. I was going to show you this because we are coming into spring. As you can tell, we've gone through a nice little tour of this, but things are growing fast and furious here. This is the echinacea. When I showed you this, it was about that tall. And now it's, she's taken over. She's pretty happy. And of course the yarrow has gotten huge, and I actually have to back up to fit that bad boy in frame. So yeah, the mullein is doing pretty fantastic. So that's about it. And now I'm going to move on to the few plants that we need to replant that didn't quite make it. Okay, so I did some double checking of what didn't make it and what did, and this is what we are replanting. Now remember I spoke about how I've been instructed to plant along other plants with the carrots and onions. So I'm going to do two types of the carrots, the Imperator and the, I think, yeah, it's a hybrid main crop carrot, okay? So we're going to do those, and then under here I have white Spanish onions, so we're going to do those. And then I'm going to do common sage because it didn't make it. And then I'm going to do more of the white sage because I have none of that. I think it just died off personally because I have nothing. There isn't even a body. So we're going to replant that as well. I'm going to pot plant the oregano this year. I wasn't going to, but it's like, yeah, there's so many medicinal uses as well as culinary uses for oregano, except this time I'm going to be smart and put it in a pot and let it, instead of in the ground, because I found out last year how invasive it can be after the fact. So I will be doing that. I'll be replanting my mugwort and my chives because those, no, they just never, they're not coming up yet. And so I'm going to go ahead and replant just as kind of a backup. And I feel like you can never have too many chives, and they dehydrate beautifully. I'm also going to replant my dill because it did not come up. I planted it, lost the plant tag, it fell out. So I have no idea. It never, again, no body, no record. And this one is bergamot. It did not do anything either, so I'm going to replant that. And oddly enough, the most ironic seed plant of all time, the one that I'm still pulling out of the yard because it keeps coming back, it's so invasive, that did not germinate, peppermint. Yeah. The lemon peppermint, I think because I planted lemon bulb, but I also planted lemon peppermint. It's doing beautifully. Not the regular peppermint. So we're going to be replanting that as well. So those are the guys that we are replanting, everybody, and I will get those started. And I have a lot of available space in the seed trays, and we're going to just move forward from there. But thank you everyone for coming along with me. As always, I love your company. And you know, if you like this, share with a friend, like, subscribe. The channel really depends on you. And you all being here by choice means the world to me because you don't have to. And I so appreciate you so much. Thank you all for being here. I love you guys. Please take care of yourself, and I'll see you Friday.